Hey, everybody, and welcome to the NintendoFuse podcast. My name is Steve, and today I am joined by Barry. Hey, Barry, how's it going?
Hey, Steve, going well?
Cool, cool. We are waiting for Greg. Greg's got some other things that he's going to be doing and joining us later in the episode. But thanks for joining us. Today is episode 167, filmed on the evening of February 4th, 2019. And today's episode is called The Future of Gaming. So we're going to be talking a lot about numbers and future of the Switch and the Nintendo systems as a whole and all this stuff. But before we jump into that, we're just going to talk about what we've been playing lately. So go ahead and talk about what you've been doing lately, Barry.
Well, I went back to Smash for a brief bit with the Piranha Plant. Messed around with that, got Classic done, and moved on. I finished Travis Strikes Again, which was nowhere near as bad as reviewers said. I had a lot of fun with it. As long as you go into it, like, this is not No More Heroes 3. If you think it is, you're going to be disappointed. With the announcement of new characters, I went back to the very game I'm wearing today, Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Decided, I didn't get a chance to do the story mode. I'm going to go do that. I got 2/3 of the way through it, and I'm like, no, I can't go anymore. Like, it's broken into 3 arcs, and they're all telling the same story from different sides, and I'm just like, oh no, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is just, it's not that it's a bad story, and the voice actors are great. It's just, it's mundane. It's just fights after fights after fights after fights, and the difficulty goes from being like, oh, they're nothing, we're just stomp them, to, oh my god, they're kicking my butt. What's going on? It just got too much. So I'm like, I did it. I did enough of it. But I didn't purchase the new characters. I'm not sure if I will, or I'm just gonna probably wait for pass. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But they did add 2 new characters on, I think, the 31st. After that, I went to Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and I started that. I don't know, I'm like in the 3rd or 4th world. But it's not, and I don't know if this is nostalgia glasses because I haven't played the first 2 in a long time, but it's not as good as I was hoping. And what I mean by that is there's like little nuances that I feel should have been fixed. One is like the mini map, and maybe I can do this. Maybe if you're out there, you can tell me, like, oh yeah, like the mini maps you have to unlock, which is fine. It's annoying, but it's fine. But you can't enlarge it, or at least I haven't been able to find out how to enlarge it. And I'm one of those, like, if it tells me you need to go right, I want to go left first. I want to explore first and do everything I can without doing everything before I'm forced to move on. And it's one of those, okay, well, I can't enlarge it, so it's annoying. And another thing is, some of the moves, they're dizzying. Like, they actually trigger my vertigo. Like, it's cool. They bring in like amusement park rides, which is great. And like the pirate ship, all right, that's cool. Or the Buzz Lightyear shooting thing, it's cool. But then you get like the water rapids, and you're constantly just going in a circle, and the camera's going in a circle. Or the teacups, which again is a dizzying ride, and I get that. But I'm like, I really don't want to use this power up because now I'm forced to be dizzy. And the lock-on mechanic is kind of weird, and enemies are jumping all over the place, and the camera's going all over the place. So I have to play it in like small bursts because it's like, I want to just delve into this game, and it's just like, you're not letting me do it. And I hate that because I do want to finish the story and see where it goes. So I'm gonna shrug through it, but it's definitely, as of now, unless things change, or I find out you can turn certain things off, then it's not even going to be in my Game of the Year contender unless something magical happens soon. But I'll see. Still playing Dragalia Lost. There is a new event going on now. I'm still loving the game. It's still a lot of fun. I know you probably haven't touched it yet, Steve, and you really, really should. And Pokemon Go, of course, I'm still doing Pokemon Go. And Final Fantasy 14, they just had FanFest this weekend. A bunch of new announcements coming out for that game. New expansion information, Shadowbringers. I'm looking so forward to that. And that is my MMO of choice. So I've just been playing that. In fact, just before filming this podcast, doing the Valentine's event with my wife, because it's just so much to that game, and that gets me on PC. And
Cool.
hopefully that comes to Switch. That would be amazing if it came to Switch.
That's cool. You have played a lot more than I have the last couple of weeks. Man, I actually I brought my Switch out a couple days ago and fired it up, and I realized that it'd been a few days, if not even over a week, that I hadn't touched it because life just got busy and I was doing a lot of things, playing some mobile, playing Pokemon Go and stuff like that on mobile, but did not touch Dragalia Lost yet. But I did finally boot it up and played a lot of 99 Vidas. So it's a game that I know we've been talking about doing possibly a game chat on soon, but it's like this side scroller beat 'em up, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so much. I mean, it's nothing to write home about. It's definitely not like, oh my gosh, you need to play this game, but it's been fun. Somewhat forgettable. Even like before the podcast started, I was telling Barry, was like, there's what game have I been playing? What's the name of it again? But it's been fun enough, and I'm enjoying a bit. One of the things that I'm looking forward to doing is playing with you guys, because there is an online co-op component of that game too. So we need to try that out at some point, because I've been playing by myself the whole time, but it could be a really fun game to play together. One of the cool things that I noticed that a lot of this style of game doesn't do, but this one does, is how you level up your characters and level up their abilities and stuff. It actually stays with you even after you lose the game or continue or even go into a different mode. That character that you've leveled up stays leveled up. So like I was struggling a little bit because the difficulty level it's not awful, but it's a little more challenging in the beginning. But then after you start leveling up, it gets a lot easier. And then I was going back into other modes and just flying through it. So it's been pretty fun so far. And then what else did I play? I played a little more of Swap This and actually reviewed that. So my review is live on NintendoFuse as well. If you're into that kind of puzzle game sort of thing, it's a color matching, colors like swapping sort of thing. So you have to like swap tiles basically. It's built around this fish theme, and they're all like frozen, but basically you're swapping colored tiles, and when you do that and kind of get 4 in connection, they disappear, and the basic game is kind of built around that. So it's fun. It's definitely one of those games that's built around the touchscreen more, and so I enjoyed it. It's a lot more playing on the touchscreen instead of on the TV and docked mode. But it is pretty cool that you can use a Joy-Con in docked mode and just point it at the screen. And it works kind of like the Wii Remote did, but you don't have to have a sensor bar or anything like you did then. So it was pretty cool to see it work. But it's with those kind of games, especially needing to be quick, it's better to just hit it on the touchscreen right when you need to, instead of trying to move a cursor around on the screen. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing recently. So not as nearly as much as you, Barry.
Well, I needed to keep myself busy because of all the wonderful drama that's been going on, which I'm sure if you've been watching this podcast for a while, you'll notice that my backdrop is constantly changing. And the reason my backdrop is constantly changing is because my PC was in the shop for 4 weeks after being in the shop for 3 weeks just a month prior. So I finally have my PC back. I actually got it back yesterday. After everything, it was bad SATA cables. That was it. Not the hard drive, the motherboard, the graphics card, the CPU, the wireless card we were checking, the power supply we were checking, bad SATA cables. Unbelievable. So 7 weeks out of 11 weeks in the shop for bad SATA cables.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did they compensate you anything for this, or just?
No, they didn't charge me. I mean, they charged
Okay.
me the initial $40 for them to look at it.
Yeah.
But then they didn't, like, even the rework, they didn't charge me at all. They gave me new SATA cables because those are cheap anyway. And they're just like, here, go. I'm like, thank you. I mean, and you've heard like one of the voicemails left for me. It's ridiculous what they've tried to figure out. Like, why can't this computer work? Apparently the SATA was preventing Windows from updating properly, which was preventing it from booting up properly. Unbelievable. Now I'm just knocking on wood, and this is actually wood, so I could do that. That this doesn't happen, and I'm good.
Wow. I'm surprised. Like, I don't know. This is not the Barry's PC podcast, but I'm so surprised that like they didn't check that one of the first things. Like, that seems like, but I don't know. Whatever.
You would think.
I'm glad that you have your computer back, and I'm glad you're like back in your normal setting, and hopefully nothing will go wrong in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I've been playing a lot of stuff. Because other than I was like, I'm surprised you're not more angry about this. I'm like, that's why I'm playing stuff. You don't want me angry about this. Like, I'm trying to stay cool.
Yeah. Just gonna take it out on the enemies in Kingdom Hearts instead.
Oh yeah, Travis Strikes Again, man. I was just destroying this stuff.
Yeah.
Dragon
Nice.
Ball.
Nice. Hey, we just want to take a moment to thank you guys for joining us again, and just remind you that if you have not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you do that in your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you're watching live on YouTube or later after the fact, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube as well, and hit that bell to be alerted with every new video that we post. Every time we go live, you'll get an alert, and that way you can join us in the chat. We do have several people joining us in the chat today. Shout outs to Jared Krinsky. Mike's in the chat. I am awake, who is Brandon. Brandon's one of our new contributors. You can check out his review of Pixel Colors that we just posted a couple days ago. Yeah, the rest of you guys that are in the chat as well. Keep up the conversations. Anything that we're talking about, feel free to let us know your thoughts about the games we're talking about, what you've been playing as well. Feel free to throw those in the chat. And if you're watching after the fact, be sure to also let us know your thoughts afterwards as well. Just toss them in the comments. And follow us on social media. You can just search at NintendoFuse, and on pretty much Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And we'd love to have you join our communities online as well. So, yeah, and one of the things that we just want to mention before we jump in the news today is I think, Barry, you're going to be on another podcast soon, right?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing a guest on StoneAgeGamer.com's podcast, episode 240. Will be going live this Friday, I believe. I will be a guest on there. So show some love to them. They're great people. We actually had the host of that, Chris, from Geekade, on one of our early industry talks, which you can see on our YouTube. But I will be there, and be spreading the Nintendo Fuse love. So if you feel like giving us a listen there, that'd be cool. And of course, hopefully we can introduce some new people to Nintendo Fuse at the same time. So I'll be taking a little trip,
Cool. Yeah, be sure to check that out.
We all know more podcasts need more Barry, right? So
there you
clearly.
go. There you go. So check that out. Listen to Barry on there, and subscribe to their podcast as well. They'd be great. And throw in their comments. Nintendo Fuse sent you. So
yeah, let them know.
There we go. Yeah. So let's jump into some news discussion. There is a lot. I'm just going to say before we jump into all this stuff, normally January or February is not a whole lot in the whole the video game news world, but there's a ton of stuff to talk about today. So we're going to try to spend as much time on each thing as we can, but at the same time giving respect to the rest of the news announcements. So let's talk about sales numbers first, because we recently found out all the sales numbers from the the best-selling Switch games as of December 31st, 2018. These are the sales numbers up through the end of 2018, and maybe surprisingly, I didn't expect this particular game to be at the top with just over 15 million copies sold. Is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And then immediately following that is Super Mario Odyssey, now at 13.76 million. Smash Brothers Ultimate only being out for a few months now, barely even 2 months, right? Is at just over 12 million copies already. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is 11.68 million. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee sitting right at 10 million. Splatoon 2 at 8.27 million. Super Mario Party at 5.3 million, so doing pretty well. 1-2 Switch, forget about that game, at 2.86 million. Mario Tennis Aces at 2.53 million, and Kirby Star Allies at 2.42 million. Barry, any of these numbers surprise you, or this is exactly what you thought the list would look like?
Needs more Xenoblade. Need more people. Champion. Honestly, yes and no. I think like the 1-2 Switch numbers are from early adapters. I think it's just people hungry for something to show off their Switch.
Me included.
Yeah, I got it too. I played it. In fact, I did the review on our site. You can go ahead and check that out. The fact that Mario Kart 8 is up there just shows that Wii U ports aren't necessarily a bad thing, and that a lot of people did not play Wii U titles. The unfortunate thing is, I don't know if that's going to hinder our chances at a Mario Kart 9. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I hope it doesn't. I hope they look like, oh, we need to get a 9 out there now to help out. But no, I mean, they're all Nintendo titles. I mean, Splatoon 2 at this point is up there. I mean, ARMS wasn't listed, but I mean, that was over 1 million. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, these are the general consensus is like, if you're going to buy a Nintendo system, you're pretty much buying it for Nintendo games. It's been that way since the N64. So Nintendo games are selling like crazy. Like that's pretty much how it goes. I'd say. Hopefully, we see some confidence in Nintendo. Like, wow, these things are really selling. Let's churn out more. But I mean, you think about like the Wii. Mario Kart Wii was the top selling game there, not counting Wii Sports and Wii Play, which were a console bundle or a controller bundle. But I think Wii Sports Mario Kart was like 30 something million units out of 100 million Wii's. So it's like a third of the populace that had a Wii had Mario Kart. So it doesn't surprise me that Mario Kart 8 is doing this well.
Yeah, I think so too, and I echo your thoughts. I mean, like, man, if that's selling that well, what does that mean for another Mario Kart installment? I hope that we eventually do get it, but part of me wonders, is it going to be held off until the next edition of the Switch, or is it going to be Switch 2 or whatever they end up going? Are they going to hold that out for the next console, the next edition of the console, or what? Since this one's selling so well, and it's a solid game. There's so much content there too, especially with all the DLC and everything included. But still, it's getting a little older now, and it'd be nice to see the next one.
There's been a Mario Kart on every system since it started, minus the Game Boy Color and the Virtual Boy. Every other system that's come out has had a Mario Kart to itself. And while the Switch has Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's technically Wii U's. So it'd be nice to come out. And even if they say, you know what, we're thinking about Mario Kart 9, but Mario Kart 9's a long ways away, I would be happy if they said, you know what, we're going to put a compilation of the Mario Kart arcade games. Like both of them together in a compilation with Namco. Like, here they are. I think that would be good. I think that would be really nice, because a lot of people haven't played them or have no access to those games. And while even though Namco did make them, not Nintendo, Nintendo still owns the rights, and
Right.
that'd be cool. Like, even if it's like just a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone that's brand new to a lot of people.
Right. And we do have the arcade classics. So, I mean, it's a new arcade game. It's not like the classics that have been put on there, but it is something. So who knows? But before we jump into anything else, hey, Greg, how's it going?
Good. I'm finally glad to make it.
You're alive.
You're alive.
It was not wanting to go to bed tonight.
Everybody in the chat was missing you, though. But glad you're not too late. Not too late. So, so we already talked about this, but what have you been playing lately?
Pretty much just Smash Brothers, really. Made some very good progress through the World of Light adventure mode, and that's really been all I've been playing in the mode so far. So,
cool.
Haven't played an online match yet. Still at the GSP of like 0 or whatever.
Yeah, I've not played much online. I play a little. I'm not 0, but I'm not much higher than that though. But I've tried to stay away just because of all the potential lag and everything else. That it was like, you know what, I've got plenty still to play on my own, so I just stick with that. But any thoughts on the sales numbers at all as we wrap up that conversation? Just Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at just over 15 million. Kind of going on all the top 10 games are well over 2 million sold. And there's a lot of games that kind of fall into that 1 million sold and higher now. Any big surprises on that list at all, Greg?
I was actually kind of surprised to see how well Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did. I mean, I know Mario Kart's like a huge series and everything, but it is kind of like the last version is kind of reprinted with the DLC. So, I mean, I know there's all this people talking about like, oh, why do they keep doing all these ports? But this was like the first one that really kicked it off, and obviously I think that's why they've been really continuing forward with this path, because of how well I guess this has been selling. So
Actually,
Definitely not a bad thing. So.
to put it into perspective, and this is kind of freaky, I just thought about this. There have been more Mario Kart 8 Deluxes sold than Wii U's.
Wow, that's we need to insert a wah 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 there. And I just realized I forgot when I was giving the numbers earlier. As far as Smash Brothers goes, that at the time of release of those numbers, so that goes only through the end of 2018. That's not until today. Like at that point, it's 12.8 million. The game hadn't even been out for a month yet. At that point, it would just been like I think 3 weeks at that point.
But I think I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did really come out at like the perfect time because everyone was kind of unsure of like, oh, is Splatoon really still on for summer, and like is ARMS really still going to come out, and like they had no idea if the stuff was just going to be pushed back or was just like hopeful thinking. So I think after like Breath of the Wild, like it's like, oh, I have to get Mario Kart. I don't have anything else to play, and then these days you have way too many different games and different choices. So
I think that's what they did. They positioned it to when they felt the average gamer would be done with Breath of the Wild, and they said, "Here you go. Like here's the next thing to quench your appetite."
Right, and it hit so many people that had probably not played it on Wii U, or maybe did like us, but just wanted it again. And especially with all the DLC, it was kind of a. I mean, if you're even somewhat of a Mario Kart fan, it was a no-brainer to get this.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the next piece of news and info, and actually talk about Smash Brothers a little bit more. There was an update recently that did do some balancing and added a couple of different small things to the game. But one of the big things is Piranha Plant is now officially a character. If you registered a game by the end of January of 2019, you were given Piranha Plant as a free additional character. And I forgot to mention earlier, but I did play some Smash Brothers specifically to check out Piranha Plant. And I'll just say off the front, I'm a fan. So far, I'm a fan of Piranha Plant. He's got quite the move set and seems pretty powerful. I know some people would be even saying he's a little OP, but yeah, I'm a big fan so far. Barry, what are you thinking of this update and Piranha Plant?
I think the update was neat that they added some things like 4 players in the Spirit bounty wall. I don't think that was something people were asking for, but it was nice to see them give us stuff before we knew we wanted it. But no, Piranha Plant is fun. Like I said, I did do Classic with it. I know there's a bug with All-Star, but Nintendo hasn't been able to recreate the bug, so play that at your own peril, because the bug apparently will delete your data, so I'm not chancing it. I like the fact that they added in the spirits from the limited time Mario event to the actual game permanently, as well as the partner Pikachu and Eevee, which were only accessible if you had saved data on your system. So I'm glad I was able to get the partner Eevee without having to open up my copy of Eevee to pop it in just to get one spirit. Things like that are great, but I haven't tried online. I've heard that online is flooded with Piranha Plants. That might be pretty funny. But I don't know. It's weird. They went with it with the first non-actual character, like a generic enemy, and I guess that really opens up, for Smash 6 to have Goombas and Redeads and likes and Metroids and the whole 9 yards are now going to be just flooding the character roster.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I now I wouldn't put it past him for sure. I never would expected Piranha Plant, and now that I have him, I'm like, yeah, how would Goomba play? Maybe how would a Redead play? And maybe only time will tell. Eventually, they'll put him on there. Maybe eventually you have an opportunity to create your own character or something. I don't know. Bring your own Geno and everybody else into the game because you just create them yourself. Who knows?
Wasn't that what the Mii's were?
Yeah, not exactly, but I think that was probably their way of doing that for sure. And then they took it away, so who knows? So, Greg, what are you thinking about this?
I don't think they can do it that way because you could.
God, I'm trying to think. Like, if you could draw characters, could you imagine how many penises that'd be online?
That's true. That's true. Greg, what are you thinking of this update?
I actually haven't had a chance to really play the update. I did redeem my code. I specifically logged on to redeem the code, and I have it all downloaded, and it awakened the fighter and whatnot. But I actually have not played a match with him yet, and I was really looking forward to doing so. He sounds like he's been a lot of fun to use. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think the cool thing is he's got a variety of different moves. His, at least so far in the small matches that I played just against the computer so far, I feel like his recovery is really, really good. That I feel like he does have some downsides. He's a little slower, but he's got huge reach and an amazing recovery. So I feel like it'd be, maybe he's going to be a little harder to learn, I think, than someone like Kirby, who has a good range. But I think definitely not to the level of like some of the really, really complicated level of players or characters as well. So I think it'd be kind of mid-level, and yeah, I'm interested to see maybe how they balance them out over time. There were quite a bit of balances this time around. I haven't played enough to see how they all play out. I know there's been a lot of YouTube channels out there that have like went through all the different characters and showed all the different balances and stuff. So just a shout out to all those. Like if you're interested in how they all play out, instead of checking them all out yourself, just do search on YouTube and you'll find all the different ways they've all been balanced out. But it's cool that they've released an update so quick. I hope they keep coming out. And I know, Barry, you're in agreement with me. I hope that eventually one of these updates will come and they'll bring back Break the Targets, Home Run Derby, all that stuff as well.
Yeah, I wanted all that stuff
coming.
too.
Yeah, like, you think it's coming? Like, are they going to add it? Has lost hope yet, or do you think it's still going to come?
Nope. It's coming. And the reason I say that is Piranha Plant was supposed to come in February. The Amiibo is coming out in February, and it came out January 31st, which tells me they're ahead of schedule. And the fact that this update added 4-player to the Spirit board, again, that was something that wasn't asked for, at least not that I saw, and it was like, here you go. So I think that stuff's coming because people are actually asking for Break the Target, Race to the Finish, Board the Platforms, Home Run Contest. I think that stuff's coming, and I do feel that there will be more characters for free, and there will be like Echo Fighters for free, and stuff like that. I think there's going to be more content besides the paid content, because, and here's another factor: it sold 13 million or whatever in 3 weeks. Like, it's clear that this is hot. They want to keep that momentum going. So I don't see them dropping off. Like, the 5 characters are going to be third-party characters, and they have the licenses, so they have to charge for it. And then the other characters will be most likely Nintendo. Maybe we'll get like Shadow or something. Sonic or Sega will be like, yeah, sure, put them in. But other than that, I think it'll be more Nintendo characters to promote their own games as well.
Sure, the chat's saying, but Banjo-Kazooie, I mean, who knows? We're going to talk Microsoft stuff later, so maybe there's a chance. Who knows? Greg, do you think these updates are going to come eventually? Like, is
I would
going
like
to happen?
to think so. I think like even with like Mario Odyssey, there was like the bigger update that was like 4 months after the game had released, and obviously Breath of the Wild had like the Trial of the Sword was added like 4 or 5 months afterwards. So I definitely think that sounds like a reasonable time frame where we could reasonably expect it to be added into the game. So
Trial of the Sword was part of the paid DLC, though. We're not talking paid DLC.
Maybe it'd be a part of paid DLC. Would they do that? You think they add new modes and
I don't. Well,
have you charge for it?
I mean, they only did the fighter pass. I mean, technically, they can have a modes pass. I mean, who really knows? It depends. It depends on how they want to market it. I would think it would be a free update, but I guess they could technically charge for it if they really felt it was going to sell.
I don't think they need to charge for it. I think at this point they just need to keep the momentum going. And it's a Blue Ocean title. I mean, they've stated they wanted to keep adding DLC to Blue Ocean titles, so there's no reason to not let that momentum slip. Especially like right now, it'd be stupid from a business standpoint to be like, hey, Board the Platforms is back. Go do it right now, because Smash Ultimate still has momentum. But come summer E3, we need some big announcement. Hey, let's throw Smash in our thing, because one of the characters is going to be announced during that. But what if they say, hey, big summer update, all those modes are back, all this stuff, like, to get you rejuvenated, because at that point the majority of the hardcore players are moved on. Oh, we got to get back into it. Like, bring people back, because you know
Could
whatever
bring
that
new life.
character is going to
Yeah,
be.
that's
Yeah,
what I
new
was kind
life.
of saying about that 4 months down the line. I mean, I know I said one example was a paid DLC, but I mean, it still brings additional life into it by adding that stuff like months down the road as opposed to like a month after the game comes out.
Right, right. I mean, you got Splatoon 2 is and ARMS a little bit at some point. Like they've been doing that a lot lately and trying to give more life to their games and making them feel new again. And so, yeah, I'm with you guys. I wouldn't be surprised at all if maybe come summer we do eventually get some of it. I don't know if they'll trickle it out or if they'll just kind of say all these modes at once. But it would be, I think, really smart, especially since a lot of people have been clamoring for it. So. Let's move on, and we finally got a little bit of news on the Nintendo mobile front. Number one, we found out that Mario Kart, I think is it called World Tour? Am I getting it correct? The mobile version, or Mobile Tour, whatever it's called. The Mario Kart mobile game has been delayed a little bit. It's supposed to come out in the summer, I think, this year. So we don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but it was delayed a little bit. But we did get a new game announced in Dr. Mario World. I don't think anybody saw this coming, but for me, this makes total sense. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about this. It seems like they are so far, bringing Dr. Mario, a puzzle game, to the touchscreen. Tetris has always been huge on mobile. I think ever since smartphones have existed, and even before that, every mobile phone that could run a game of Tetris or something like it has been running on there to stick Dr. Mario, which is a similar enough game on there. It makes total sense to me. Greg, what do you think about this announcement?
Well, I mean, first off, about the Mario Kart mobile game, it feels like that just follows a trend of all of their games to date, because I feel like every single game that they've released has already had its own delays. I mean, Animal Crossing and I think even Fire Emblem Heroes was supposed to come out like over a year before they actually did. So, yeah, that's no big surprise about Mario Kart. Unfortunately, it stinks we have to wait, but we know we're getting a higher quality product. But yeah, for Dr. Mario, I think that's definitely a perfect fit for the phone and tablet. So bring it on. I would definitely pick it up. I definitely don't see it as a game where you even would need to spend any money on microtransactions or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know how they limit you to only play like one level a day or something. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it's worth it.
Yeah, we don't know much about it, but the little tiny bit we know. Barry, you excited about this one? I know how much you love mobile titles, especially lately.
Actually, I've never really been a huge Dr. Mario fan. I've always preferred Tetris or Puyo Puyo or Panel de Pon. So, I mean, I'll probably get it and mess around with it, but it's not like, oh my God, setting the world on fire for me personally. I think it's a brilliant move, though. I mean, this is just a game that works so well on mobile, I'm surprised it took this long. I do hate that they're not doing the Mario Run model. And I know some people hated that model and preferred to play for free with microtransactions. I prefer to pay one price and just have the whole game. So it kind of sucks they're not doing that. But it's smart. And who knows? You know, there's been a trend with their mobile titles. They put out a mobile title, and then they put out a console or handheld version of the title to get interest. Mitomo had Miitopia, and Mario Run, Mario Odyssey, Fire Emblem Heroes to Fire Emblem Three Houses, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp to now Animal Crossing on Switch. Maybe we'll get a Dragalia Lost on the system, on the Switch, which would be cool. But Mario Kart Tour could very well bleed into Mario Kart 9, and Dr. Mario World could bleed into a brand new Dr. Mario on Switch. So who knows? But yeah, it's a smart move. I'm glad to see them embracing some other IP. It's not one of those that's like, oh, why mobile? I wanted that on Switch for me personally, because again, I'm not huge on Dr. Mario. If they're like brand new F-Zero only on mobile, I'd be like, oh, really? So I get it. It's fine for me. I think it's just a brilliant move.
Yeah, I'm with you. I never been a huge Dr. Mario fan. In fact, I don't even remember playing it when it originally came out or any of the sequels until I think the WiiWare version and I played that a little bit, but it's never been my thing. You know, what I would like to see a resurgence in is Yoshi. I want to see the original Yoshi. I played that so much on Game Boy. It was crazy, and like I would love to see that back again. So maybe there's hope for that on a mobile version sometime. We'll see. So let's jump ahead to the next thing, and yet another news piece that we don't know much about. In fact, we know pretty much nothing about. But Nintendo has said that they have this unannounced title coming that fans are going to be really excited about, and that's basically all we know. So, Greg, what could this be? Do you think it's something like Yoshi coming back, or do you think it's something that's like completely brand new that we will never see coming? What do they got up their sleeves?
I don't know. I almost think that Barry had hit the head on the nail right there when he was mentioned F-Zero. I know Nintendo and like Miyamoto are aware that people are really clamoring for that new F-Zero game. I really think that they might be able to actually bring it forth and bring it onto Switch, because I mean, it's never really had like an online multiplayer component because it kind of stopped on the N64. So I mean, I would think that'd be a no-brainer that that'd be easy enough to warrant a new entry into the series. I mean, people really like the F-Zero games and Captain Falcon, so would definitely be a huge step forward. I mean, everyone loved the little tease from Nintendo Land on Wii U, so let's go. Let's give Captain Falcon his own game.
I'd be very excited about that. The chat's excited about another Pikmin. Barry, what could this be? Like, any ideas?
I'd love Pikmin 4, but that's possibly already been announced. I'd love a new F-Zero. I'd personally love a new Star Tropics game. But if you ask me what I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a Mother compilation, or at the very least Mother 3. Because the way they said, like, fans are really going to be excited. And they've been outspoken, we want Mother 3, we want Mother 3. So I think that's what we're going to get. I'm almost at the point of putting money on it.
Finally going to happen. Do you think they'd go as far as just like maybe remastering it, or do you think they're just going to release it as is?
I think if they put it out digital only, if they're just going to leave it as is, I think if they put it in a collection, like a physical collection, which is what I'm hoping, to get all 3 games together, they might do something to it. But you know what? Even if they don't, I don't think people will care. Especially if you're getting all 3 games, you know, Earthbound Beginnings, Earthbound, and whatever they're going to call Mother 3. I think people would just be ecstatic to have that entire thing in one package on the Switch. Especially because Earthbound Beginnings was only released on the Wii U digitally, and you know it's gone at that point once the digital service goes away. There's no way to play that game afterwards other than illegal ROMs. So we need some preservation.
Yeah, that's true. Greg, would you be excited for Mother 3? Were you a big fan of the Earthbound series?
I never really played the games. I did play the Earthbound Beginnings for a little while, but I don't think I made like huge significant progress into it. But it definitely would be something I would definitely be trying to pick up, because I know it's like a RPG adventure game that I'm really into. So I would definitely support them if that's definitely what they're going to be doing too. So
yeah,
I know even Nintendo has poked fun of that too. Like, oh, Nintendo, bring us Mother 3. How about this instead?
like Jared's talking about Chibi Robo. It's going to be another Chibi Robo game. That's what it's going to be.
It could be.
It could be.
I don't think people will go crazy for it, though.
No, for sure. No, for sure.
I mean, I think both me and Barry suggested would really hit the points. I mean, those are like I think, at least from what I know of, those are the 2 highest in demand things that they would like back. But
yeah, or a crossover of both. No, that probably not happen. But
whatever Retro's doing too.
They've been remastering Mother 3.
I would be happy with that.
Yeah. Or working on Mother 4. Or
they'd probably be doing F-Zero before they did.
We'd be also happy
Star
with
Fox Racing.
Yeah, there's that rumor of Star Fox Racing. So
that's true. That's true. At this point,
yeah. What they should do is they should do G-Zero. They should bring that out of nowhere. I don't know if you remember G-Zero.
No.
That was the F-Zero spin-off for the Virtual Boy that they canceled. They should just out of nowhere, here's a Virtual Boy game. Boom.
Nice.
Everyone wanted an entire cartridge that has all the Virtual Boy games on it.
Oh my god,
there
I would
you
love
go.
that.
Virtual Boy collection.
Honestly,
And-
honestly, if they just announced we're bringing Dragon Hopper out, I would literally lose my shit. Like, people are willing to pay like $100,000 for that game if they could find it. Like, whoever has that demo of it, or that completed ROM, because they've completed the game and they never finished it. And they never like released it. So it's a Nintendo game that no one's ever actually played the whole thing. So I would lose my shit if they said, here's Dragon Hopper. I'd be like, oh my god, yes. Yeah, I mean, Bound High was eventually found, and even if they said, here's Bound High and Dragon Hopper and all the Virtual Boy games, that'd be amazing. But I know people would that would make us so happy. The Virtual Boy community would cry tears of joy.
Mike's hoping for another Golden Sun, or maybe another Advance Wars, and Jared's talking about maybe another Zelda game on 3DS to give the 3DS a little more life.
It's a good transition right there.
It is. And although we weren't really quite there, but we can jump ahead. We'll take Jared's transition and jump ahead. There's been some rumors from some supply chains and stuff recently that this Switch Mini apparently is actually going to happen, and possibly that it might be the thing that takes over the 3DS, because the 3DS kind of seems like it's running out of steam. We've talked about that in our predictions that this might be the final year for the 3DS and all that stuff. Is this going to happen? I mean, all this is totally rumors, speculation, supposed leaks, but we have no facts to back anything up. But it's been talked about quite a bit lately that the Switch Mini is going to happen this year, and the 3DS is most likely going to be phased out. Greg, what do you think the chances of this actually happening are?
I don't know. I would like to possibly even put a little bit of money on it going down this year, because I mean, I feel like the 3DS has kind of like fallen from grace since the Switch release. I mean, I know they've been trying to maintain it and still had some new titles, and me and Barry even like really enjoyed like Radiant Historia a lot. I mean, I know that's not Nintendo, but it still like still extends the life of the 3DS at having a good game like that release. But I mean, I feel like it's very slow output. It looks like it's like finally just starting to die down. I mean, it seems like the sales are starting to go down, and Pokemon is not really keeping the 3DS alive as much as it was. So I would not be surprised if they did try to get the 3DS owners onto Switch if they didn't already have one, and by enticing them with like a Switch Mini just to bring it around.
Yeah. Hassan's in the chat, and he's saying it's time for RIP 3DS. It's time for him to move on. Meanwhile, Barry's trying to get him back into his basement, whatever, but get him tied up again. Barry, we know that like you were thinking that the premium Switch is going to be coming out this year. The Switch, whatever they're going to call it, the next level Switch. Is this Mini actually going to happen now?
You know, that did go against my predictions, and I'm not going to claim to be Michael Pachter here and say I'm always right. It's possible. I've always thought the 3DS. In fact, I'm actually kind of surprised the 3DS is still getting games this year. Although, from what I've gathered, the games coming out this year are the end. Mario and Luigi came out just early on. I'm really excited for Etrian Odyssey Nexus, which is coming out this week. It's actually got me back into. I plugged my 3DS up, ready to go. Make sure it's charged because I'm looking forward to playing that. And they're advertising it as the final Etrian Odyssey game for the 3DS. They're like, this is it. Yokai Watch 3 is coming out shortly, and to me that's a big sign. The Yokai Watch games kind of filled the Pokemon niche and were always released around holiday. And I always felt Yokai Watch 3 was going to come sooner versus later, but they kind of delayed it with that extra version of Yokai Watch 2, which like set everything aside for a year. Japan has one more Yokai Watch game. I think it's Blasters 2. And it's almost like Yokai Watch 3, instead of coming out in the fall, we're going to put it out in February. This way we can do Yokai Watch 4, which is coming to the Switch in Japan, maybe this holiday for the Switch in America, along with Yokai Watch Blasters 2, like kind of rush that out over here to America. Persona Q2 was just announced over here too. What's interesting about that is that they're not doing a localization. Like, they're doing English text, but they're not redubbing it, so it's all Japanese. Like, we're not even going to spend extra money. And I'm sure that's going to coincide with the Joker release, because Joker is a main character of that for Smash. So we shall see. But yeah, 3DS's writing's on the wall. This is, I'm going to say 99% the last year. And if there's anything next year, it's going to be more Nintendo Select titles. Like, they just put 3 of the older titles out as Nintendo Selects, and, whatever to straggle and keep it behind or keep it going. But they even stated that it fell dramatically more than they expected it to. Like, the 3DS sales are just plummeting. The writing's clearly on the wall. So if this Switch Mini is going to be a new replacement, I say more power to it. But it makes things interesting, because if it is a Switch Mini and it is not non-detachable Joy-Cons, that prevents you from playing certain games like Fitness Boxing or The World Ends With You or Super Mario Party. So unless those games are patched to work, just touchscreen, which is possible, although Fitness Boxing, I don't know how that would work. There will be some games not playable, and it's almost will be a new 3DS situation or a DSi situation where games not playable on Switch Mini, which is interesting because one of them, Super Mario Party, is a first-party Nintendo title. So I guess we'll see. It's possible. Anything's possible at this point.
I mean,
Right.
I guess you could always just connect other Joy-Cons to do those games. So
That's true. You
that
could
would really
keep
seem to
it
be
docked with
towards
those
the, yeah.
attached or whatever.
Yeah, but
It's
why
just,
would you do that? You have this little tiny screen up there, and you're trying to work out as opposed to on the TV. That's the whole point of the Switch Mini. It almost seems like it wouldn't be a Switch kind of deal.
Do you think that would they come
Yeah.
out with one that wouldn't even dock? You think at all? It'd just be
It'd have to be a new
tabletop
dock.
or handheld, and that's it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could see if they do
Yeah.
dock, you could definitely add additional, Joy-Cons just like you do your existing Wii. But it would be weird if it's only tabletop and handheld and having Joy-Cons to a device that's already that could be weird. But if it comes to the dock, adding Joy-Cons to that wouldn't be that bad.
They would need a new dock, and I think the whole point of this is to make it as cheap as possible. So selling, like, if you think about the dock is $90 if you want to buy another dock. So
Or
if you were
$60 at Walmart, by the way.
oh
You
well,
should get one
fine.
now.
What I'm saying is, if you cut it out, if you cut out the dock price on the Switch, like you just took that $90 off, instead of $300, you're looking at a $210 system. That's much more affordable. So if they say, oh, let's make a Switch Mini without a dock, we can cut off $100 right there. Plus, making it cheaper, they could release it at $199 or even $149. Then, if you had to buy extra Joy Cons and extra dock, that's all extra on top of it. So if they make it, I don't see them packing in a dock, and if they did allow it to have a dock, they would need a new dock specifically for it, sold separately. And if that's too much, I don't know how many people would utilize that feature.
Yeah, I am awake in the chat says it should be called the new Switch Pro plus cats. I think it's a really good name. I think Nintendo is definitely going to go for it. They're talking a lot about the dock, or it should be if it's going to be dockable or not. I think one of the interesting things on top of this is that Nintendo has gone on record from the president to say that they actually are not considering any sort of successor or price cut with the Switch at the moment. And so if that's the case, how does this coincide with, possible Switch Mini? Would that be considered as a successor, or is that just kind of another model? And so it kind of skirts around what he's actually been saying. It's really interesting because it seems like we have some, I don't know, I think some of these supply chain rumors and stuff like that are to be believed, and it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it seems like Nintendo's like, nope, not going to do that. So.
Yeah, I mean, they've always kind of dragged their feet with that. I mean, I think it was even like when the Wii U even launched, it was like, oh, we'll have the 3 pillars, the 3DS had 1 pillar, and the Wii on the next pillar, and the Wii U on this pillar. It was like they were trying to like code around saying, oh, we're not going to shut down support for the last console. Or maybe it wasn't the Wii U, maybe it was like the launch of the Wii with the GameCube or something. But
Did it
they were,
earlier with
The Game Boy.
First with the Virtual Boy, and then the DS was the third pillar, and the GBA was going to continue, and the GBA did not continue.
Yeah, so I think that's like their way of like not trying to announce they're gonna cut support, but it almost actually does.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the sad thing is, I love that new 2DS XL is a great system, and I kind of like I would like to see more life in it. But the honest truth is that I powered up my 3DS for the first time just a little bit ago, and that was the first time in probably over a year that I'd even given that thing any power. So it's gonna have to be moving on too, and because I don't even I ignore it most of the time, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure that we'll have some more rumors and some more leaks and everything as time goes on. But for now, we'll just speculate along with everybody else.
The podcast will predict the February direct.
Yeah, because the January would never happen.
It kind of did, but it
kind of. It wasn't whatever. Anyhow, let's move on to one of the announcements that happened in January. Kind of a sad, unfortunate announcement about Metroid Prime 4. And this popped up, and my initial reaction was, cool, we're getting information about Metroid Prime 4. Awesome. Like, it's not part of a direct, but sure, why not? I'll gladly listen to this and watch it. And well, what they proceeded to tell us was that it's being delayed, a pretty significant delay, because they have realized that they haven't been able to produce the type of game that they really want. And so they have now brought on Retro Games to help them, and they're going to be, unfortunately, starting from scratch on Metroid Prime 4 again. So kind of building it up from the ground up again. So who knows how long we're going to have to wait for it. I think this is one of those good news, bad news things. What do you guys think, Barry?
When I first woke up and I was greeted to this noon in Metroid Prime 4 news, I knew it was bad. Like, I knew, like, this is not good. And the reason I knew that is this is something they would save for a direct. This is something they would be like, here's a direct, here's, news for it right away. And I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to be begrudgingly watching this. And as I watched it, it kind of put a smile on my face. And the reason is not because of the delay. The delay is sad and it sucks because I've been waiting for the game. But I was very happy to see Nintendo being clear about the information. Like, that level of transparency is almost unprecedented with Nintendo. We don't know what Retro's been working on for all these years. Like, what's going on? Like, they're so secretive. We still don't. And we know Retro is taking over this. We know Retro pitched an idea and a demo to them. Nintendo liked it, and Retro has the title. But what has Retro been working on since Tropical Freeze? So I hope whatever that is gets to come out and isn't shelved for however long Metroid takes. But I love the fact that they were honest about it. And they're like, because everyone was expecting it this year, or at least a showing at E3. And for them to go, well, here's E3, no Metroid Prime 4, what's going on? Then people would start speculating. Here they're just nipping everything in the bud. And when it happened, I actually watched a lot of posts on Nintendo groups and stuff. Like, I was ready to, like, hear all the sour notes, and I was surprised. The community was like, bravo, Nintendo. I wish more companies would do this. I'd rather wait and get a great game than get Fallout 76 with Metroid skin. So I applaud Nintendo too. I think this is a smart thing, and I think more developers need to do this. Put the games back in the oven if they're not done.
Yeah, I agree. And I would love to play the game sooner, but as we've said with a lot of other delays that Nintendo has made, there's always reasons that Nintendo delays a game. And I think I can't think of any of the delays that they've ever had that didn't give us a better game in the end. And I think this is definitely going to be the case. I am like a couple other guys are talking in the chat, like, why didn't they do this in the first place? Why didn't they give it to Retro to start with? I'm wondering the same question. But this is Nintendo, so we can't ever, know why they did what they did. Greg, are you think this is a good move along with us?
Yeah, definitely. I was, as soon as I had saw like the video showing like an update on Metroid Prime 4, I was like, I immediately knew that something was probably going to be kind of wrong. And at one point, I was like so worried that they were about to cancel it the way he was like talking about it. And then he's like, oh, we brought out like letting Retro take over and let they have to start from scratch. And I'm like, okay, now I know it's in good hands. The Prime trilogy has been really great through them. I know I'm going to get a very quality game. Yes, it's disappointing that it's delayed, but then again, you know, it's going to be worked on by the best that people that have made the original Prime games. So definitely excited to play that whenever it comes out. So hopefully it's not like the Swan Song or anything like that, but we can't really exactly rush them either. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only thing that would have made this a little sweeter is if they would have said, you know what, this being delayed, but in the meantime, enjoy the trilogy on Switch. That would have been great.
yeah,
That would have been a
That's
really nice
coming.
little
I know
thing
a
on
lot of
top.
people have
It's
been
coming.
speculating that, and now there's like definitely room for them to like announce it like E3 or like this year, just to have it out at Christmas time or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
just to keep it.
Do you think it's coming right away, Barry?
I think it's probably going to be announced at E3 and probably going to be a summer title. I do. I don't think they're going to wait till fall, but I
Yeah.
definitely think I would be very shocked if Metroid Prime Trilogy did not come to the Switch this year, especially after this cancellation, or not cancellation but delay.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Greg, you're thinking holiday? We think it's summer. We'll see what happens. I'll cut the
Yeah,
difference. I'll
fall.
say
Yeah,
fall. But yeah, I'd agree too. I mean, especially with this delay, I was wondering already if they've been working on it, but if they haven't been, I bet there's kind of like almost like fast, put this into
yeah.
overdrive and try to get this out a lot faster to appease the fans in the meantime.
That's almost like their like apology, like kind of like Wind Waker was like with the Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah, yeah. Let's moving on. Let's talk about Microsoft. Wait, what? Wait, we're going to talk about Xbox on a Nintendo podcast. How crazy is that? Barry, I know you've been following this a little more, so if I miss any of the big details, feel free to jump in there. But what I hear is that Microsoft, the Xbox division, is going to be releasing Xbox Live on a broader scope, bringing it to across all PCs and stuff like that, which is already there, but also mobile and Nintendo Switch. What is this all about, Barry? You know anything else, and what can we expect here?
This, you know, the future is definitely going to have some kind of service. It's not going to take over everything, but Netflix started a model with the streaming kind of thing, and Xbox does, Gamer Pass and stuff like that. But Microsoft is being very smart in, hey, what if we did our own service? What if we had one thing to connect everything? And Xbox Live could be it. Xbox Live has been the definitive online service for consoles. It's been stronger than PSN. It's been leagues better than whatever Nintendo has done with the Wi-Fi connection and Nintendo Network. And if they can come in and say, hey, we're going to enhance all your Nintendo Switch titles by using Xbox Live. If you have an Xbox Live account, you can also play it through that and have a better experience. And hey, if a game is multi-platform, on the Xbox One and the Switch, and you play the Switch version, you could still get Xbox Live achievements or something like that. That would be awesome. They've already been working together with cross-platform with Minecraft and now Fortnite and Rocket League and stuff like that, but specifically Minecraft because Microsoft owns Minecraft. So I see this as Microsoft making a smart business move and also kind of getting in bed with a little bit of everybody minus Sony. They know Sony is their biggest competitor, and they also know that the Switch is almost at where the Xbox One is now after all this time. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Xbox 4 or the Xbox 2 or whatever you want to call it, Microsoft approaches Nintendo and says, we want to do some kind of integration with Nintendo on this. Like, we need to get in bed together. We need to work together. And here's what we're willing to offer, because in the grand scheme of things, Nintendo is now doing better than Microsoft. We're going to offer Xbox Live online service onto your Switch. We're going to maybe even IPs. Maybe they'll sell back Rare or let Nintendo use Rare IPs or something like that. Who knows? this isn't unprecedented, but this is the beginning of what could very well be a very good friendship for both those companies and very good for us gamers.
Yeah, I'm just so confused in how this is going to work. I think because it seems so unlikely that, I mean, and then it seems like it's going to happen. So, but it just seems like something I never try to even wrap my head around how this could work and how it will integrate and everything. I mean, does it eventually mean that they're bringing Xbox Game Pass to Switch? Probably not, but I mean, like how, like I guess it could. But like some of the integration makes sense, but then it just seems like competing systems, and like, does Nintendo just back out of the way and say, hey, you know what, Microsoft does this better, and so we're just going to step out and let them take care of this? Greg, you got any ideas of how this is going to work, and maybe help me out how to try to understand this?
I probably don't have any much as clue as you do. I mean, it might be that Nintendo might just realize that they aren't very good, like, to have their own like environment with that, and like setup and knowledge and know-how, and it might be just cheaper just to bring something in instead of trying to develop it in-house and get all the flack that they've been on their current services. So I mean, I know free was always their way to go, and then obviously people just still complain that Smash always lagged and Mario Kart lagged and stuff, and you just kind of dealt with it because we weren't even really paying for it. And now that we are paying for it, people are realizing like, hey, we're still getting the same crappy service, and there's all these videos on YouTube on don't buy the Switch Online and all this know-how. So maybe they just want to use an online system and community that works, and obviously that still appeases both user bases, because then you're still able to have everyone play online, play games together, which is ultimately what gaming should be. There shouldn't be these invisible walls to say I can't play with people just because they have a PlayStation versus having a Switch. Obviously, we're not talking about PlayStation, it's more Xbox, but even if just breaking down that wall there, it just makes it seem like it's better for everyone just to have people be able to play together.
Yeah, I mean, Sony has now made some moves with crossplay because Nintendo and Microsoft have already, been playing nice together, and so maybe, I mean, we're talking in the chat like eventually PSN. I don't know. I mean, who knows if this partnership works really well? Maybe we could see further and further advancements that direction, to where we dissolve this console war thing, and we just, you can play whatever system that makes most sense for you, and we're all gamers together. We're crossing over as much as we can, and maybe there's still exclusive games to certain systems, but for the rest of them, there's crossplay and interoperability between each of the systems and things like that. That does sound like a great world to live in for gaming. Barry, do you think it's going to go beyond just the achievements and stuff, or are they going to actually go full on with this?
I think it might start with achievements and go from there. Nintendo is a very proud company, and they also prefer to work with Japanese companies, and we all know Microsoft is not a Japanese company. And it really depends what Microsoft offers. I know at one point, like, Microsoft wanted to buy Nintendo, and Nintendo's like, we're not selling. And I don't think that would be the case at all this time. But Nintendo, or Microsoft, has things Nintendo would probably enjoy, such as IP, not just like the Rare stuff, but also Microsoft's IP. And Microsoft just bought a whole bunch of developers and said, look, how about we do this? We'll be on the Switch, and we'll take all these developers like Obsidian and stuff like that, and we'll have them, the games they're developing now, we'll also have them come to Switch. Kind of like Mojang puts Minecraft on Switch. So we'll have all these other companies still putting out games for the Switch as well. Like, those are definitely incentives. Those are definitely incentives to have. So it really depends on how much they want to play ball. And it's not unprecedented for companies to do things like that. I don't know if you remember the game Epic Mickey, when that came out. In order to use like Oswald the Rabbit, Disney needed to get the rights back to that character, even though it was originally a Disney character. So they actually had to trade like a sportscaster from ESPN and transfer him over to whoever owned the rights to their sportscasting to get, like, it was a weird situation. So anything's really possible if you think about it. It's just how much does Nintendo want it and how much does Microsoft want it, and whichever company wants it more is going to put up more on the table.
Right, right. I forget about that. How would you like to be traded for an animated rabbit?
But it happened. It was
I know.
legit.
Well, yeah, I mean, being a Disney fan, I kind of know a little bit more background around like how like, he's not really been associated with Disney, so
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
topic
But
for another
yeah,
day.
but if they really, like you said, if they really want it, companies are willing to do what they need to do. I mean, we see this all the time with, with again Disney, with Marvel and Sony Studios, and then now Fox and everything, and the them buying out Fox stuff recently, and so. Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with a partnership or maybe future buyouts and everything. You know that they've got to be in talks, even if not everything's in the public. Like they've already kind of chatted about it in the past. They've said no, but man, I wonder what's going to happen. I think I love to live in a world where all this does connect together. That all this console war stuff does go away, and we're able to just pick the favorite thing that makes sense for us, and we're able to play with other gamers, and we get along, and it's just a happy gaming world. But I don't know. Maybe this is one of those moves to that direction. I guess again, only time will tell. But we've been talking a lot about the future of gaming. As we wrap up today, all the news, let's talk about the past of gaming. The Wii Shop Channel, talking about RIP earlier about the 3DS. It's official time for RIP for the Wii Shop Channel. On January 30th of 2019, we said goodbye to the Wii Shop Channel. It started back in December 10th of 2006 and had a lot of great titles on there. Was I think a pretty good digital shop for Nintendo for many years, but now it's went away, and along with that, a collection of games like Bubble Bobble Plus or Bomberman Blast or Excite Bike World Rally and some of the Rebirth games, things like that. Some art style games that now, if you didn't download them ahead of time, they are now gone. So as we wrapped up our news, I thought it would be kind of nice to pay a little homage to the Wii Shop Channel and maybe kind of talk about maybe some of your favorite titles there. Maybe kind of be sorrowful about the games that maybe you'll never be able to download again or something like that. Greg, what's some of your memories and thoughts about the Wii Shop Channel?
Well, it's definitely the very fun integration with the point system and having to buy all these points through like cards or whatever. So that was definitely an interesting take where you're like, how many points is it like you get for $20? It's 2,000. That's kind of weird, but yeah, my most stuff was just the purchase was the virtual console, which obviously originated on the Wii Shop Channel is the very first form that they did this. So I definitely tried to keep up. I was like, oh my goodness, Double Dragon came out. I gotta go get another card and buy it. And like, oh geez, now there's this other NES game or Super Nintendo game that I have to get. And I was like very obsessed with keeping up with like all the virtual console games that I really wanted to have. So yeah, that was definitely a fun pursuit for that. And then one of the first main titles I had gotten from the Shop Channel, I know this released on other platforms, but it was like Mega Man 9 and 10. Those were some very great games to see brought back using like their original like NES art style and just kind of continuing the story of Mega Man. And I know those are now available on the collection packages on Switch and other platforms, but it was definitely very fun to be played even on Wii back in the day. So definitely very much miss the Wii Shop Channel and its kind of quirkiness to try to find stuff, and it like search by platform. You couldn't even like search really by like title, and very clunky UI, but I was able to find what I wanted and made quite a lot of purchases on it. So
Yeah. Started off the Nintendo download, or I think what we called it was called like just the Wii Shop update or something like that we did back then, but that's where we all started these weekly posts that we do that Greg and I have taken over the years. Always exciting to wake up to like what they released new and seeing the new WiiWare games, but also the virtual console games. I Am Awake talked about the file size, the 40 megabyte file size was kind of crazy. He said that he did some reviews of WiiWare and virtual console games that were bigger than the actual game that he posted, which is kind of crazy that they had that kind of limit. But it was true. Barry, are you gonna miss the Wii Shop Channel?
I'm gonna miss the Wii Shop Channel because of what it brought to the table. I have a very love-hate relationship with the Wii Shop Channel. It came out in a day when I was still actually get some digital games. So I did get like Final Fantasy IV, the After Years, as it came out episodically, and which was exclusive at the time, and things like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, My Life as a King and My Life as a Dark Lord, and stuff like that. Like just really great titles. I got several virtual console games and played through them. I had a lot of fun until my Wii died, and then my digital stuff was held captive. And I had to pay Nintendo $40 to fix my Wii just so I can get all the titles I purchased and transfer them. And wasn't really happy about that. And I think the fact that it's closed it should be a real like wake-up call to people who are like, digital the future, digital, because there are some great games that were exclusive to that platform that you cannot play on other platforms, like the Rebirth series from Konami and the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicle titles I mentioned. They're gone. They're now gone. The only way to play them is if someone had them previously downloaded. That is a problem. That is a problem. You cannot actively go get this. This is the importance of physical media. They needed to be released. They need to be re-released. If you have titles that are lost forever, or potentially forever whenever they decide to bring them back, that's not good. We're just talking about how gaming should be open, how gaming should be free for everybody, how gaming should be about the joy, and all it does is frustrate. Oh man, I read about the Castlevania Rebirth, Adventure Rebirth. That looks great. I'd love to play that. Oh, you can't. What about if I put $1 million down? Will Konami? No. $1 billion? No. $1 trillion? What if I auction off all of the United States? No. You still can't play that game. I'm sorry. Hopefully you find somebody with it on their system that they're willing to sell. Like, that's just terrible. Like even like games like the Saturn, or systems like the Saturn that did not, really move its titles off of there. Panzer Dragoon Saga is a $650 game, but at least you could buy it for $650 and play it. These games are gone unless the companies decide to bring them back. And this is the danger of a digital world. These games will be lost. The preservation will be gone. All the hard work that these developers put into making these fantastic games will not be able to be enjoyed by future generations simply because they just won't be available. And I hope this is a wake-up call. I hope people realize, maybe I need to get physical media. Maybe I need to show that support. Because if it doesn't, this is the future. You better get the game you want and have it ready to go, because eventually it will be gone. And Xbox 360 Live Arcade, that's going to go away soon, I'm sure. And the PSN is already killing PS3 and Vita support. Like they're ending support. So those games are going to go bye-bye soon. It's a terrible future when you're dealing with digital only, because these services will not last forever.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, and I think it's one of those things. I think when it first started happening, I was maybe naive at the time and thinking, you know what, yeah, this is going to stick around forever, and because a lot of digital media does. I mean, for the most part, I mean, you buy a song collection or even one song off of iTunes or whatever, and you expect it to be there. But although you still have a download of that, so it's not exactly the same, because you can take it and move it around and everything. But it was similar enough. And you think of other games like, or movies and stuff you download or whatever. And you had this mindset, at least I did for a long time, that, this stuff is not going to go away. It's going to be always on these servers that I could always download, even on a system that I may not play anymore. But if I always wanted to, I could always download it. And then you start getting them shutting down, and all of a sudden reality sets in, and I go, maybe I shouldn't be buying all of my games in digital anymore. And so that's actually one of the reasons why I've stopped going only digital. I still go primarily digital, but I try to make that distinction as well. Like, do I think this is a game that I will want to play for years and years and years after the service goes down? If it is, then I get the physical media. If it's a game that I think I'll probably just enjoy while the system is around, and I don't think I'll want it longer than that, then I usually go digital for the convenience factor. But it does play into my decision making now, because we now have these systems shutting down.
See, I can't gauge if there's a game I'm gonna want to play in the future. Like, yeah, I go back and play random old games sometimes just for the sake of playing random old games, and to me, it's I can't tell what in 30 years what I'm gonna want to be playing, or even what the state of gaming. What if gaming just dies? Like, and what we can do is go back and play those old games. Like, then that's it. And especially like with children, oh yeah, you know what, this is something you should go back and play. Oh, well, we can't now, the service is dead, or my hard drive is dead. Like, you never know. I mean, some of the games are still classic, and thankfully, games like Pac-Man are all over the place. But what if they weren't? And if I said, oh, what are some great Atari games, and you'd be like, oh yeah, Pac-Man and Galaga and Centipede and Millipede, those are all over the place. Do you know how many Atari games have not been ported? How many have just disappeared? Tons,
Wow.
tons and tons of games. Thankfully, they existed on physical media, and you could still find them. But now, take how many digital titles are lost? How many digital titles were just lost with the Wii Shop Channel closing? A lot. I don't know the exact number, but probably somewhere around 1,000 titles were just killed within an instant. It was like, Alderaan just blew up and you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you're like, oh my God, like 1,000 souls just cried out and, just gone. And that's the danger. And that's going to happen. Like Awkwardly said, that PSN is still up. And they are. What I was referring to was the free games are gone. But Sony's not going to keep them up forever. Sony is not going to keep those up forever. And there's just, I mean, look, Sony's actually ending physical cartridge making for the Vita in just a month. They're getting out of it. They're going to be shutting down. They're done with the Vita. So the Vita store is going away. If it goes away in 2 months, probably not. But within a year, 2 years, it's going away. Like, there's no way Sony is going to keep that thing up after they killed that system. And the same thing is going to happen with Microsoft. It costs money to keep these services up. They're going to keep it up as long as it's profitable, as long as there's people using it. They're going to keep it up. But the day that stops being profitable is going to happen. That's a fact. It's going to happen. So once that happens, they're going to kill it. And everything that's digital only through that service is going to die if it's not pulled off already, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or Xbox X-Men the Arcade, or any of the midway titles on Xbox BLA have been pulled off for years, or the promotional titles like Yaris, or those Dorito free games, stuff like that. There's a ticking timer on all of these titles.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, though, too. I mean, we are moving into a world, though. I can't. I don't know. What I see is a lot of our gaming world is going to a place where things are more backward compatible. So I feel like some of the more modern digital games are going to stick around a little longer because the new systems come out and they're backwards compatible. We see a lot of the Xbox 360 games that are playable on Xbox One and vice versa and stuff. So like I feel like we should be able to see that more if gaming keeps going in that direction. I feel like some of these digital games will last a little longer. Maybe they won't stick around forever, but I feel like they'll have a little more of a life than they did the Wii games, because yeah, you could port those over to Wii U, but it was kind of janky, and they're not really fully backwards compatible. I don't know. So
I say physical collections. Put out physical compilations afterwards. Namco Museum style. Like that'd be great.
I'm definitely not against that whatsoever. I think it'd be great, and I think they've done that with a lot of other stuff. I mean, I just talked about the Atari collection and this other Namco collection and stuff that's out on Switch. It's a great way to bring some of those old games that could have been forgotten, but now bring it to the new systems, and I'd be happy with that. I'd love it if they. I know a lot of other people would if they brought the Rebirth series to Switch, bringing it as a physical compilation. You bring it as a digital compilation too. It doesn't hurt to do that as well. But just bring those over, some of those games that people would be really missing out on the Wii Shop now that it's gone. I think a lot of them, it should be pretty simple just to support those over, and a lot of people would be very happy to not lose them to the Netherverse or whatever whenever the Wii Shop Channel goes away or went away. So, all right. Well, any final thoughts about any of this news yet before we kind of turn the page to wrap up this podcast?
Well, I mean, I know Barry was talking about like the physical media is always around, but I mean, you also have to find the people that are willing to pay the price. I mean, I've been wanting like Path of Radiance and stuff like that, but I don't think it's worth $100 to pay more than what it used to sell at retail for. So I know it's not lost, but will continue to go up in price.
But at least you can purchase it. It's better to be able to purchase it than not purchase it at all.
But it's still purchased at secondhand. I mean, there's no guarantee that it's like new. So.
Well, of course, but at least it's out there. There's copies. That's the point. If you want a title, you're going to get it right away. If you miss it, you have to, risk paying more for it secondhand or less. Most titles fall less. Path of Radiance is one of the fewer titles. Like there's fewer titles that raise in value than there are drop in value.
Yeah. Just the nature of the game, I guess. It's just like I kind of refused to pay overprice on Amiibo, so there was that. So.
Yeah, and so many Amiibo now are like $5 or less. Like, the Animal Crossing Amiibo dropped. I saw some Smash Amiibo have dropped or have gone to like $5 below. So yeah, everything is going to come and go. There's no such thing as a constant. Some games will constantly raise value while others will sink. And there's no correlation other than like sports titles will sink for the most part. But there's even outliers in there. I mean, you could look at some fantastic games that are super, super cheap, $5 games. And then you could look at really, really crappy games, like stadium events that just shoot through the roof. So, you just got to gamble. If you get the game at launch, get it because you want to play it. If you want to wait, depending on the print run, you might be paying more for it or you might be paying less for it. But at least you can buy it. So if you wanted Path of Radiance right now, you drop $100, you can play that game. If I want to play Castlevania Adventure Rebirth right now, I can't give $100 to Konami and get that game. I can't give $200 to Konami and get that game. That's my point.
Probably give $100 to somebody that has it on their Wii and whatever, and you can.
I have to buy a whole freaking system at this point. That's and then who knows? They may say, well, you know what? I do have Castlevania Adventure Rebirth, and I want $50 for it for my Wii. But I also have the other Rebirth, and I want $50 for each of those. And now to get that Wii to play one game, I'm paying like $800 for all these games that he's got downloaded.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing at all. Not the same at all.
You could always get it off the black market and have a homebrew thing running on your Wii and play it that way too, I guess. Not that we endorse anything like that.
I'm talking legal, legit ways of getting these things here.
Yeah. It would be interesting if I wonder, it's not necessarily ported over, so it wouldn't be as easy as just, getting some company like Limited Run or Super Rare Games or something like to do that, because they need to actually make it playable on a new system. But it would be really cool if a company like that partnered with some of these companies and brought some of those systems or those games up to Switch. But it's a lot more than just saying, hey, let's put this on a cartridge and go with it.
Well, now actually that the Vita cartridges are being discontinued, Limited Run is actually looking into PS3 and Wii U in terms of bringing some digital-only Wii U titles to physical, which is great because they're going to shut down the Wii U shop probably sooner versus later at this point.
Could you get a Wii U disc to run on the Wii channel on a Wii U? Maybe that's a way. Seems even jankier than what the digital system setup is. Like I actually, my Wii broke down as well. Well, it's not fully broke, but it gets overheated, and so a lot of times if I stick in the and standby, it doesn't like to boot back up. So I transferred everything over to my Wii U, and so I had to boot up my Wii U, and then forgot how to go over into the Wii channel on the Wii U, and had to put batteries in my Wii remotes because you can't. It was this whole thing to make sure that I had everything downloaded, and then I realized I did because I got this gigantic SD card before everything switched over, and I downloaded everything. So all the games that I wanted are all downloaded and everything. But it was like this whole ordeal just to boot up the Wii Shop Channel and make sure it was all good to go and everything. And I'm glad those days are behind us. I'll just say that.
Yeah, wouldn't it have just been easier to look at your shelf and go, "Yep, I got all of them ready to go"?
Well, in that case, I wouldn't have even been worried. But some of those games, I think that's one of the unfortunate thing is, and what we've kind of alluded to is some of those games were WiiWare only. Like they didn't even come out on physical media, so we didn't even have the option. I think it'd be a different story if I had decided, oh yeah, I'm going to get this digital and I just got to pay that price because that was my decision. But I think what we're saying is some of these, that wasn't our decision. Like we didn't have the option. You didn't have the option to get the Rebirth series on disc because it was only digital. Yep. And I think that's one of the unfortunate parts.
Yeah. I'm not against digital titles. I want for both physical and digital. Let people choose. But there are even some Nintendo titles. There was an Excitebike game that they put out that's gone. There was a Dr. Mario there was a Dr. Mario for the Wii Shop Channel, I believe. That's gone now. Like that version of the game is gone. These are Nintendo titles now. It's gone.
Doc Lewis's Punch-Out.
Yeah, there you go. Doc Lewis's Punch-Out. Was a Fly Swatter game too from that was a Club Nintendo from Mario Paint.
Oh, Club Nintendo, R.I.P. So many goodbyes tonight. Oh yeah, man. I mean, yeah.
And some of the thing about some of the older games too is sometimes those companies that kind of go belly up, and then like no one's ever picked up like the rights to the games because they probably didn't sell well or something, or maybe someone did pick them up, but then they kind of refused to do anything with it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and it's also goodbye to the original Virtual Console as well. And there's a lot of those games are on the 3DS Virtual Console, and a lot of them on the Wii U Virtual Console. But who knows what Nintendo's doing with this this Nintendo Online stuff? We've speculated about it before. Maybe we'll eventually get the Super Nintendo Online service, and maybe N64 and everything will follow suit. But a lot of these games, if you didn't have them on your Super Nintendo or N64 and you haven't downloaded them on another system, that might be your only chance to get them as well, and those are gone. So I'll just say hopefully all of you guys had an opportunity to download what you wanted, and you have it either on your Wii U or an SD card or something, and you are able to play it because it's too late now. It's all gone. I'll shed a tear. All right. We just want to remind you guys, if you are new to the NintendoFuse podcast, make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast app of choice, and also subscribe here on YouTube if you're watching live or you're watching later after the fact. We do want to know also what you think about all this stuff that we've talked about. We have a lot of news that we've talked about. What's your thoughts about all of it? Throw that in the comments down below. Also, be sure to hit that bell to be alerted with every new video that we post. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Just search for @NintendoFuse. We also have a Facebook group that we'd love for you to join that as well. Before we talk about what we're looking forward to over the next couple weeks, Barry, you had something you wanted to talk about, right? About some stockholder thing, is that right? Yeah.
I was gonna bring it up before, but I guess you really want to hear me go on this rant.
Let's see how much time we got. I don't know.
No, see, my problem is this: Nintendo came out with all these this information, all these sales, all these titles going through the roof, and Nintendo Switch selling exceedingly well. In fact, the software sold so well that they've actually upped their projection by like another 10 million units or something like that. Or yet they lowered their system projection forecast by 3 million. Instead of 20 million, they lowered it to 17 million. And despite all the other good news, the stockholders seem to panic. They seem to absolutely panic for some stupid reason. They dropped like 9%. I'm a stockholder, and I was watching all that stuff, and I'm like, this is all good news. Like, this is gonna bring the stock up. Like, I'm excited as a stockholder, and then it's like, and I'm like, really, are you that stupid? Like, this is all good news. Like, you're talking. You want a company to succeed, and the company is totally succeeding. Why would you sell when the company is just saying, hey, guess what? We posted profits. We're doing all this stuff. But by 3 million units, even though they raised the software projection, they lowered, and this is just a projection, they lowered the projection by 3 million. That's not a lot. That's not a lot to lower it by after an exceedingly good year. And we have an even better 2019 lined up, even without Metroid. And it just shows that the people who are doing the stock, the ones that are, they know nothing about this. They're just in it, and they know nothing, and it's hurting those that do know it. And it reminds me of like being back like in the high school mentality. When if you're playing basketball in high school gym and you make 100 shots and you make 99 of those shots, you miss only one. The high school mentality is, instead of praising you for, oh my God, 99 shots, it's great, it's, you suck. You missed that shot. You're a terrible player. That's the way adolescents think. And that's what the stockholders are acting. And I know there was like one analyst that posted how terrible the news was. This is the end of the world. Nintendo is doomed. And I'm like, really? Are we back there again? Like, haven't we gotten past this? I don't know. It's just absolutely asinine at this point. And like, I think all those stockholders who sold because of panic are morons. And I'll just come out and say it. You're morons. I'm in it. I'm happily in it, and I'm gonna stay in it because it's only gonna go up when all this other new stuff comes out. And they'll be like, oh, we shouldn't have sold. Now I wish we didn't. And they'll be like, well, you're an idiot. And that's just it. And it's just so funny. It's just all this success and like this one small negative. It's unbelievable. Oh, look, we're now selling NintendoFuse stock. This is great. Let's do it. Let's go open. So yeah, there, rant over. I'm done. You happy? You happy? I was perfectly content with ending this podcast without having to go through that.
Well, see, I thought it was very important to you, and I wanted to, you have a platform here. However, we do need to make sure that that everybody listening you do understand that we do not have any authority on stocks or anything like that. Don't take our word for it. Just to save our butts and everything, because even though we may be joking around selling stock, but we have no money at all. So if we get sued, we have nothing. So
no, we are not selling stock, but I do have stock in Nintendo, and I am talking about the actual investors there.
Right. Yeah, it's always so interesting. I mean, we've seen this even with Apple recently and everything on the news and everything. It's funny just to sit back and watch people that clearly go on news, and that's all it is, and they're selling and buying strictly on the news. And it's interesting because if you look into things, clearly like a company's not going down the crapper, but on the news it looks like they are, and so all of a sudden, no, we sell everything off. And I think that's why you just can't follow some of that stuff and know how good a company is only based on its stocks, because it's never a good news point.
Yeah, they see, oh my God, the lower projection, I'm going to sell. But why don't you read the rest of the article where it's that's it. I got to sell. Do you really look at all the other things? I mean, Smash Brothers just came out and sold 13 million in 3 weeks. Like, that's huge. That's great. That's the fastest selling exclusive in the history of video games. How is that not good news? That should raise stock. No, 3 million less than projection. Remember, this is projection till March. So we still have all of February to go for sales, and those sales numbers were to the end of last year. So we still have January's numbers too. So we have 2 months in this year to still hit those numbers or get closer. And we don't know what they're going to come to, but panic. Oh my God, the sky is falling. Just call them all Chicken Little.
Oh man! Hey, as we wrap up this podcast, what are you looking forward to playing over the next couple weeks, Greg? Anything that's you're overly excited about at all?
I was browsing through the list, and again, I'm still not really seeing too much that was catching my eyes. So I guess just to continue on with Smash Brothers, it's been catching my attention a lot, and here we go with that.
Yeah, I hear you. I was looking at the list too. I'm like, looks like a time that I'm going to go back in my back catalog and finish some games that I maybe haven't touched in a while. And no, Dragalia the Lost is not on there, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna might be on that list though.
Better be.
So yes. Barry, what's you looking forward to? Anything in particular?
Looking forward to finishing Kingdom Hearts 3, and looking forward to Etrian Odyssey Nexus. I got my 3DS ready. I love the Etrian Odyssey series, and I'm kind of wondering where the series is going to go with that second screen and the touch screen. But hopefully this isn't the last hurrah for it. But if you like RPGs, it's a really good one, and that's the main two that I'm aware of. I'm not totally sure what else is coming because I've things just pre-ordered and they just kind of show up at my door. But yeah, those are that's the main thing I'm looking forward to that hasn't come out yet. It's actually an Odyssey Nexus.
Cool. I'm awake in the chats talking about Apex Legends, Division 2 beta, and he's gonna be playing some backlog games as well. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I think the next couple of weeks will definitely be spent in backlogs and playing some games. Hopefully finishing some games that I haven't got to finish yet. Torna probably. So so hopefully, who knows? By next podcast, maybe Barry will be pretty excited to hear that I finished Torna.
Oh my God, that would be awesome. Then we got to move to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 proper.
Maybe. Hey, thanks so much for guys for tuning in. Reminder to just subscribe and share this with others, especially other gamers that love Nintendo. We would love to make sure that some other people hear about these podcasts and everything as well. Our next episode is going to be on February 18th, 2019. So we'll catch you then. But until then, enjoy gaming, and thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having us.